What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and I'm back for another breakdown. So today we are going to rank the NFL draft cornerbacks for 2025 this year. And so we're going to break it up. We're going to have honorable mentions, slot corners, and outside guys. Now, I'm not going to be able to do any video because if you haven't noticed, some of my videos have been getting taken down. I don't know if it's the SEC, ACC, Big Ten. I don't know what it is. There's no real clear rules for why all this stuff is getting taken down. So we're just going to go through them. If you want to see more detailed stuff, go on to my X account or Twitter account. And I'm doing all the breakdowns on there, and it's a lot more detailed. There's video and all that good stuff. So without any further ado, let's jump into this thing, okay? So honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is going to be Jaylin Smith from USC. Really like him. I was really surprised. In the last few years, I haven't really liked the USC DBs. So it was really cool to watch him and see the film. Really good press technique, quick mover. Probably more of a slot type, smaller guy. So really liked his tape. Next one is Jacob Parrish. And Jacob Parrish, that one, man, he can play some man-to-man coverage. He's fast and explosive, ran 4.3, really good athlete. The problem with him, though, is just the balance. He falls so much in so many games. I just can't, you guys know me. Balance is a DB trait. Can't have him ranked in there in the top 5 in the slot corners if he's always on the ground, because he can't make plays if you're on the ground. Last honorable mention, this one, a little controversial. A lot of people like this guy, but he just didn't make the cut for me. It's Azareye'h Thomas out of Florida State. And so Azareye'h Thomas, he's a really good press man corner. The problem is the technique. He is not a very technically sound corner. He's a little all over the place. Two-hand jams, false steps, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And the tackling in the run game is really below average. It became pretty clear that teams were, getting into situations where they had a lead and they were trying to sit on the lead and then attacking him in the run game. So couldn't make the list. So now we're going to get into my top 5 slot corners. All right. So at number 5, this one is a little bit controversial too, because most people view this player as an outside corner, but it's Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. So I think at some point he will be an outside corner, but just with the injury missing part of the year. And then also I was so surprised to go in and watch Notre Dame and see just how not sound the DBs were technically. Typically Notre Dame, you're thinking these guys are going to be technique sound. They're going to be airtight. The false steps, feet were all over the place. Jams were wrong. Dudes were doing the wrong stuff in their zone coverages and things like that. And so it was surprising because their pass defense was ranked so highly. But I think it's because a lot of those guys, relied on their athleticism. The freshman or the first year starter, whatever year he is, that guy's the only guy, the corner. That guy's the only guy that's like airtight technique, plays the right way. These other guys were a little all over the place, and Ben Morrison was on that list, man. So I think it would be really cool to have him play as a big slot, put him in the slot and have him start his career there, and then he can slowly transition to the outside. So Ben Morrison. Number 4, Cobee Bryant, man. Cobee Bryant, the Black Mamba. Like, he is just, slithery, right? The wiry kind of guy, but he is physical as hell. He is what you want out of a DB from a mental standpoint. He believes he's the best corner of all time already. Super physical, not the greatest athlete in the world, not twitchy either. You'd think a guy that's like kind of wiry like that would be a little bit more twitchy, but not a super twitchy athlete, but he's just a dog. Like, makes plays in big moments, not afraid to go up against Travis Hunter or any other good receiver. I really liked Cobee Bryant's mentality, so that puts him on the list. Next up, number 3. So I was originally not going to rank this player because I couldn't find any film on him. But I went back and I started watching the Shrine Bowl, and I'm like, man, this guy is great. I got to figure out how to be able to break this guy down. And it's Robert Longerbeam from Rutgers. So I went in and I looked at some old film from, last year, like Marvin Harrison Jr. went in and found some film from him that I had in my database. And then just some other Big Ten players. And yeah, the film confirmed he's the real deal. So he's going to be my number 3 slot corner, explosive dude, similar to Cobee Bryant in that, like, he's just a dog, not afraid to go up against anybody, physical in the run game. You know, if this was 30 years ago, maybe he wouldn't be able to make it in the league. But like now where everything is spread out and you need to have a nickel on the field, you know, the majority of your snaps, like I feel like he could be a really good slot corner in the NFL. I really like this player. So number 2, slot corners, special one for me, Khari Johnson out of BC. Khari Johnson is the first kid I've ever coached in my entire life. I started coaching him when he was 12 years old. I'd take him down over to Cleveland Circle. We would work our technique. I'd have him catching balls, you know, have him, working on his back pedal and all that stuff. And so then I got an opportunity to coach him for Pop Warner. Him and Mike Sainristil were on the same team then. So I got to coach both of them, be their defensive coordinator. And, you know, it's come full circle. And, you know, it's not like I'm ranking him on this thing because, you know, it's you know, one of my guys or something like that. Go in and watch the film. If you're looking for the Devin Witherspoon in terms of like knocking people's heads off in the run game and being physical with receivers in this draft class, it's Khari Johnson, bar none. You cannot block him with a slot receiver. He is tossing people around, super physical. And then he has the experience playing on the outside as an outside corner. You know, when he was at Arkansas, he was doing that. He did it all through high school. So he has that experience. So his coverage technique is on point. You know, he does everything that he needs to do. You know, knowing him personally, I know how hard he works and how much he puts into this. He is absolutely going to be a leader on whatever team he ends up on. So, you know, the projections are UDFA, but don't be surprised if you hear this guy's name on day 3. He is the best pure slot corner in this draft. Now, who's number 1 though? Number 1 is a guy that's a bit of a tweener, plays a little bit outside, plays a little bit inside, plays safety, plays slot, all that type of stuff. It's Jahdae Barron, right? The Thorpe Award winner. So I got him number 1. You know, he's a Swiss Army knife, man. Like, you know, Coach 007 on Twitter, he always says, you know, some of these guys, they're just problem solvers. You got a problem, just put them there and solve. Well, yeah, Jahdae Barron's a problem solver. He can play inside and play as a nickel linebacker. You know, there's film of him doing that. He can play in the slot. If you want him to go back and play deep safety, he can do that too. You know, he can play on the outside. He plays some corner. I think he'd be, you know, average to below average in the NFL as an outside corner, but you know, he's a problem solver. You can move him around. So really like Jahdae Barron, awesome football player, and he ranks number 1 in the slot corners. So now we transition to the crown jewels, the outside corners, the dogs, the alphas. So who do I have at number 10? Another guy that I went back and watched a Shrine Bowl and was like, man, this dude can play. It's Zah Frazier out of the University of Texas, San Antonio. So, you know, a lot of people compare him to Tariq Woolen. I think that, you know, from a speed and explosiveness standpoint, they're kind of similar. Woolen was more explosive and faster, but this guy plays with another gear. He plays, you know, at that 4.35 speed every single snap. And that's one of the things that I didn't like about Tariq Woolen coming out. As you know, he wasn't on my rankings back then. But this guy, man, he plays with his hair on fire. The pursuit, the backside pursuit, he's chasing everything down. He's super physical, even though he's 180 pounds at 6'3". He is super physical on the stock blocks. He showed that against Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden. Really good mover at 6'3". Not, you know, elite, not the top tier, but really impressive movement skills for a 6'3" corner. There's a lot of these big corners coming out now. People must be training these guys in a different way because they're starting to look even better. And Zah Frazier is one of those dudes as a big dude that can move pretty smoothly. So really like Zah Frazier. Next up, we've got Shavon Revel. This one is probably a little bit controversial too. Most people have him in their top 5. Shavon Revel, I think he's the most explosive athlete of all of these guys. Like straight line explosion, I think he's the most explosive one. I think if he ran at the combine, he was running in the 4.2s for sure. The injury didn't allow that to happen, but he's another one of these guys where it's just like the technique is just not there. The feet are all over the place with constant two-hand jamming, right? We talked about this on the channel. Two-hand jam, you can't do that with any level of consistency, especially against elite receivers, and he just puts too much of that on tape. I do like him in the run game, though. He comes downhill and thumps people. I think it would probably be better if he moves to safety. I think he'd be a really good safety. He's got the range and the speed at 4.2, right? Probably runs at 4.2. And then also, he just thumps people. There is no, sometimes you see corners, they get a little timid. They're like, oh, is somebody else going to make the play? And then they go in there and then they just get the guy on the ground. Like, no, he fires in there on those crack replace reps or on the goal line. He gets into scrums. Like, you saw him against some pretty good tight ends like Colston Loveland. Like, he stoned that guy and made a play in the backfield against Blake Corum. Like, he is a really physical dude. And I just think from a movement standpoint, he doesn't really, his back pedal is so high and his hips are kind of all over the place. That's typically what you see from a safety. So I think if he moves to deep safety, the range will be absolutely incredible. So we'll see where he goes, but maybe he goes somewhere else and, they fix his press technique and fix all of the other techniques. And then, the other thing I want to mention too, the zone eyes are all over the place. As a corner on the outside, he actually plays better in the deep zones. So that's why I think safety is probably a little bit better. So Shavon Revel. Now, at number 8, I have Dorian Strong. So Dorian Strong is a guy that he's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I think most people are going to watch him and be like, oh, this guy's heavy-footed. He looks a little maybe kind of slow or whatever. I mean, he ran a 4.5 flat, as a 6'2" corner. That's not terrible. But, when you really go in and you dive into the tape with this guy is just very technically sound, really smooth and savvy, has one of the best speed turns in the draft, physical dude. Like, this guy's a day 1 starter. I will not be shocked if he goes into camp. He's going to go probably on day 3, and I will not be shocked if he goes in similar to a Cam Hart and just takes over the job, because he's just a professional. Like, he plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, a ton of zone coverage, but the press technique is really good too. So the more that he ends up playing there, I think he's going to be good. So Dorian Strong, he's a guy that I definitely, really like in this draft. So next up, number 7, another guy that I came to late, Quincy Riley. And most people have this guy as a slot corner. I do not see that. 5'11", yeah, he's not a giant, but he's not super short either. 200 pounds, right? He's big enough to play on the outside, and the press technique is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, he has some of the best press technique of anybody in this entire draft, bar none. Really smooth in zone coverage, has that inside-outside versatility, so if people do want to play him in the slot, you can play there. More of a field corner, right? He's not a guy that you're going to put, to the boundary, 3x1, soloed up on a receiver on like AJ Brown or like, Jamar Chase or something like that. That's not what you're going to do with him. He's going to play to the field. He's going to see routes develop quickly. He's going to attack quick game and get downhill. He's pretty good in the run game as well, screen game, all that type of stuff. So I think that Quincy Riley is another guy that's going to be an NFL starter when he gets into a training camp. So next up, we got Trey Amos. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, played at Alabama, and you can tell that Nick Saban's fingerprints are all over how he plays. His technique is so sound at the line of scrimmage and press, and besides my number 1 corner, he is the best zone coverage defender of anybody. Sees routes developing quickly, passes them off. He's a field general back there too. Sometimes corners can be a little quiet and passive with like zone coverages and communication and stuff. Like, no, he's calling stuff out. He's driving on routes. Like, he has really good zone instincts. He just understands how the routes are going to develop. Never ends up out of place in zone coverage. Really good zone defender, but also pretty good in man-to-man coverage too. Again, he's not a guy that you're going to, put into the boundary 3x1 and put him on the X receiver, but put him to the field, zone coverage, see things pass off. He's going to get downhill and make plays on the football. He also can cover tight ends too. He's got a bigger body, right? He's a longer guy, so he can cover tight ends as well. He ran like a 4.43 or something like that, so he's got good speed. I think that Trey Amos is going to be a really good football player in the NFL. Number 5, a little bit of controversy here, but I don't care. My number 5 corner, and besides Khari Johnson, my favorite corner in this draft, it's Jabbar Muhammad out of Oregon. Like, it's crazy to me that this guy is not getting any pub or anything like that. Everybody's calling him a day 3 pick or a UDFA or whatever, late day 3 pick. Like, come on, man. When you go in there and you watch that film, he goes up against NFL receivers consistently, and the film is phenomenal. It's not just good, it's phenomenal. Show me somebody with better tape against Jeremiah Smith. He held that guy to like 2 catches for 47 yards. He got 1 big one, but the safety was supposed to help him. Gave away his leverage because he thought the safety was going to help him. So 1 big completion. Had 2 PBUs against this guy. No touchdowns, right? So he's going off in the game every time somebody else is covering him. But when Jabbar's on him, he's not making a play. And so I know, 5'9", 180 pounds or 175 pounds, whatever. I don't know what the exact weight is, but 28-inch arms, not a very good vertical or whatever. I hear all that. But I think that this dude has earned the right until proven otherwise to be called an outside corner. Like, the film is just absolutely phenomenal. Xavier Worthy, when he was at Washington, he was playing against them in the Sugar Bowl, I believe it was. Man, really good reps against him. A.D. Mitchell, jump balls against A.D. Mitchell. I don't care what the vertical is. He's making plays on the football. Like, NFL receivers, really good tape, technique, airtight, really good technique. Besides my number 1 corner, best technique in the draft. Like Jabbar Muhammad, that dude is a dude. He's probably going to end up playing in the slot. But like I said, for me, he has earned the right to be called an outside corner. So, number 4, Maxwell Hairston. Explosive, 4'2", 840. I think Revel is a little bit faster, but besides Revel, man, this dude's got some explosion. 3 career defensive touchdowns. Really impressive stuff. He's so fast, and it's very rare that you see a player with this kind of speed. And when you watch the film, you can see he's not playing at full speed because he's not afraid of anybody running by him. Like we talked about the cliff, right? With Khari Johnson, talked about the cliff. We don't want to fall off the cliff when we're in catch technique. This dude is not moving his feet if he's in catch technique. He's like, you're not going to run by me. It's just not going to happen. Like, pretty consistently, dudes will do double moves on him. It does not matter. The speed is just rare. The ball skills are awesome. The only questions I have on him are the short area quickness. Like, there was some times that I was putting on with him and some plays where I'm saying like he should be able to make a play on the ball. And for his size, he's like 5'11", 183. I would expect him to be a lot quicker than he actually is. But I like this guy. I think he's going to be a really good player. Another guy that I think would be more of a field corner, right? Play him to the wide side of the field where there's more receivers. He played mostly in zone, but he's got the skill set to play man-to-man coverage. But he'll see routes develop, make plays on him, and if you try to throw that ball deep on him, it is not happening. It's going to be a contested catch every time. So really good, really impressive profile for Maxwell Hairston. Number 3, a little bit more controversy here. Some people have this guy as the number 1 corner. Some people have this guy as the number 2 corner. For me, he's number 3, and he's still a top-tier corner in this draft. But Will Johnson is the number 3 corner in the draft for me. All right. So Will Johnson, the film against elite competition was very back and forth and up and down. And I'm not hating. Like, AJ Terrell got torched by Jamar Chase when they were in college, right? So yes, against Marvin Harrison Jr., Roma Dunze, some of the other elite receivers that he went up against, it was a little more back and forth. And it was back and forth not because just because they're great receivers, but there are athletic limitations that he has. He's not a straight line guy. I don't think it's an accident that he decided not to run a 40. Also, the short area quickness is not good. You saw at the pro day, he ran 4.4, like a 4.41 in the shuttle. That's not a good time for a corner. There are some athletic limitations that he has. But when he goes up against the not good receivers, he's elite. Like, makes tons of plays on the ball, scores touchdowns, right? He's got a bunch of defensive touchdowns, super physical corner. If he can get his hands on you, you're toast. Like, you're done. That's the thing. Press, besides my number 1 corner, best press corner in the draft, right? So, super physical at the line of scrimmage. He likes to get up in your grill. Leader on that team, right? Helped lead that team to a national championship. Really great all-around player. Just can't put him above the other 2 guys that I'm going to rank. So number 2, Darien Porter. I know I'm higher on Darien Porter than anybody, and I do not get fooled by the underwear Olympics. This is not an underwear Olympics thing, but oh my God, that RAS score, he got a 9.99. That's a 5th all time since 1987. 5th Like, he is an elite athlete. And the difference with him, right? So if you go back, remember, I didn't really like Zion McCollum or Tariq Woolen because you looked at the combine and it was like, okay, they blew up the combine. They're big corners, but when you watch a film, it doesn't translate. With Darien Porter, it translates. This guy moves like a slot corner at 6'3", right? All the testing, the short area quickness and all that stuff, it's top tier. It's like 10 out of 10 on that thing. Yeah, it shows up on film, man. Like, his downhill breaks are so fast. He plays with such low hips for a big player. That's the thing with these tall corners. They usually play high because it's harder to sink down your hips. He plays so low. He explodes out of his breaks. And then the speed, man. I think it's a notch below Maxwell Hairston and a notch below Shavon Revel, but he ran 4.3 flat, and it shows up on film. The dude is a chase down artist. I've said it on Twitter, man. It reminds you of a LeBron James chase down block. Like, if a running back breaks out at 50 yards, he better be looking up at that scoreboard if Darien Porter's on the field, because he's gonna run you down. So, the press technique. People say he's raw because, like, he's only played corner for a couple of years. He was a receiver before. The press technique is awesome. Quiet but active feet. Jams with the proper hand. It's not all this two-hand jamming unless it's on the goal line, right? He jams with two hands on the goal line from time to time. Or if he stones the guy right off the bat, yeah, you're going to bring the next one because you got him. Like, Darien Porter, he's the second best corner in this draft. He's phenomenal. And then my number one corner, I don't think there's any surprise if you know anything about me, is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the number one corner in the draft. He's the number one receiver in the draft. He's the number one unicorn in the draft. Like, this dude is on a whole nother level. Like, everybody that's like, oh, he's just out there just like being an athlete or whatever. You don't know anything about corners if you're saying that, man. He uses all the technique. Like, go back and watch Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders took a liking to, coaching him and took him under his wing and has taught him everything he knows. It shows up on the film. Like, my favorite thing that he does, that Deion always did, was when those receivers got their hands down and got their arms crossed and they're on their knees and they're staring this way. That's choke technique right off the bat. We choking. You getting choked right away, right? And so that's a technique that Deion used to use. The opening of the gate, right? Everybody else, as a DB, as a corner, we tell you don't open the gate because guys are going to cut underneath you, or you're just giving a free release to the outside. Travis Hunter opens the gate, and people don't understand this. He opens the gate on purpose, right? So he opens the gate on purpose because he's trying to figure out if you're going to run an inside leverage route. He's kinging your hip the second that he opens the gate. It's not just him opening and turning and being like, oh, I'm slow, so I got to get out. No, he's opening the gate to be like, okay, if he's going to break inside, he's got to do it now, right? To cut underneath me. And there's just so many clips of him before the receiver even goes inside, he's getting back downhill and beating the receiver to the spot and making a play on the football. That's stuff that Deion used to do, right? Like, this is not a guy that's just out here running around. Like, he is a supreme technician. Everybody says the ball skills are what make him elite. No, it's the instincts. It's the feel and the know for the game. And then you add the ball skills on top of that, you got a great corner. And for me, he's the best corner I've ever evaluated on this channel, and he's the best corner that's come out since Jalen Ramsey, bar none. So Travis Hunter, number one corner in the draft. For me, huge separation from everybody else on the list. I like a lot of the other guys, but huge separation between him and everyone else. Like, that guy is an all-pro waiting to happen. So, and he might end up being the first ever two-way player in the NFL. So Travis Hunter, number one corner. So those are my rankings for the NFL draft. That's what I think about the corners this year. Leave a comment in here if you agree, if you disagree. You want to subscribe to the channel as well, because we're going to break down the post-draft stuff, talk about scheme fits, all that good stuff. So you are going to want to come back for more breakdowns. So as always, you know what it is. Coach Williams, Ball Hawks, we fly. I'm out. Peace.